Good morning, everybody. This is Hao Tran from Vietcetera. We're super excited to welcome Linton Borthwick, the general manager of Mia Sài Gòn and also one of the owners of Vintage Emporium, one of Saigon's beloved cafes, all-day dining concepts. They've been around for some time. We're super excited to welcome Linton here today onto our Alive and Kicking series, which is our prelude to our headliner event, the Banh Mi Awards and the conference on November 5th. So super pleased to have you here today, Linton. Thank you for coming into our office. I know it's an early start, but I guess early starts are common in your business.
Absolutely normal.
Absolutely normal. Before we kind of go into it too, we'd love to hear a little bit about yourself, if you can introduce yourself and what you're doing here in Saigon.
Sure, Hal. Thanks for the introduction and thanks for the invite to come here. It's been a while since I've come into District 1, so it was good to experience the Saigon traffic again. Anyway, a little bit about myself. I've been in Saigon since 2008, so about 12 years. When I arrived, I never really thought that I'd be here for 12 years.
Yeah.
I was meeting lots of people from different walks of life that would shake my hand and say, I've been here for 10 years, I've been here for 15 years. And I guess I would look at them and think, my gosh, that's a long time. And now 12 years later, it seems like that I'm shaking other people's hands and maybe they're looking the same. When I first arrived, I worked for the Caravel Hotel in District 1 and was there for about 3 years. I moved to Hanoi and had a short stint in Hanoi with the JW Marriott Hotel, which we opened in 2013. And then came back to Saigon in 2013, the end of 2013, and worked with the Park Hyatt for about six and a half years, which was a great experience. Beautiful hotel.
Yeah. Well, all three are beautiful hotels.
All three are beautiful hotels.
It looks like you've worked at all the very iconic hotels here.
Sure. I mean, and each have their own kind of niche and special points. Caravel being an old historic hotel, JW Marriott being a very new hotel, and Park Hyatt being somewhat
elegant, distinguished, not too old, not too new.
Yeah, lady or gentleman in the middle of the city. I left Park Hyatt at the end of last year. To be honest, my thought was that I wouldn't work in hotels anymore. I thought I'd have a break and maybe work on my own businesses. But fell in love with Mia Hotel when I was shown it by their owners. And they invited me to come and manage the place.
Excellent.
I guess that's history now.
So it sounds like you've been a lifetime hotelier in Vietnam and broadly speaking.
Started back in my home of Sydney. Escaped education degree in Sydney to go and enjoy myself in bars and restaurants for a while.
Okay.
I then went back to study again in hotel management and have been in the business ever since.
And most people, I mean, you would probably know this too, hotels and F&B, they're very different beasts. You know, sometimes the restaurant in the hotel, does it take priority over the rooms? I mean, you have a background in both. And we'll talk about that more as well.
Sure.
And we'd love to hear about how you kind of balance it to being a general manager of one of Saigon's newest hotels, and it's a 5-star hotel too, yes. I believe, and as well as having this boutique kind of all-day dining restaurant. I'm sure a lot of our listeners are going to be really interested to hear more.
The key is don't sleep.
Don't sleep. Yes.
Don't sleep. That's the key.
Yeah. Do you find yourself waking up early and going to sleep late? Is that, or you're more of a night owl or early morning?
It's usually a combination of the two. It's usually a combination of two. Up early in the morning to go for a run. Yeah. Get into work as early as possible. Finish at one place, then tie up a few loose ends at another, and then try to fit in a glass of wine or a beer at the end of the day.
Sure. Yeah.
And then do it again.
Okay. Yeah. Well, excellent. We're super excited to hear more.
Yeah.
But moving forward, it's the question that kind of is headlining a lot of news right now, and we want to keep it short and brief. But
sure.
I'd love to hear, the management at Mia Saigon, they approached you to come in and run the show. How had they had to adjust their practice and planning from before the pandemic to after? Because, I mean, looking at the hotel of the location, at the amenities and the price point, you would think it's really focused on potentially business people, international travelers, kind of like holiday makers in Vietnam. What have you had to do to come in to make sure that the business is still alive and kicking during this time?
It's a tough transition, and it's been a tough transition, I think, for a lot of businesses. I think in January this year, before COVID really started to kick in, the mix of business for Mia was probably over 60% international. And of course, within 2 months, that business was literally turned off like a tap. So yeah, the key is to then suddenly start to look at different different revenue streams and different ways to make revenue. The hotel actually closed for a month in the end of April.
Okay.
The end of March, and then reopened at the end of April.
And that's when you came in.
And that's when I came on board. And immediately what we started doing was trying to rethink the way that we looked for business. The hotel had been very reliant, like I said, on international business, so we needed to make that switch to domestic. And we really started to focus on staycation.
Okay.
Mia's really, it's a beautiful hotel.
Yeah, you got that rooftop as well now, the pool and the outside
beautiful
space.
Rooftop, yeah. But the place is like a resort. You walk in and suddenly you feel like you went somewhere else. So that's really helped us. You know, it's like the only resort in Ho Chi Minh City.
Yeah, sure.
Where you can get on a boat and you can come from District 1 into District 2. You could pretend you're on an island. And once you come into the doors, you could be in Hoi An, you could be in Da Nang, you could be somewhere else. So we're very lucky in that terms. I think our business for staycation, as in people within Ho Chi Minh City,
even within District 2 are still
even
going.
Within District 2. Yeah, I joke with our guests that are from District 7. I say, oh wow, you know, you guys have come a long way. So it's funny how times change, right?
Yeah.
From District 7
and
being
staycations, like aside from leveraging the location, obviously, and the view, you guys have some F&B offerings. How important has that been, or even as a percentage of revenue compared to the rooms?
I think the F&B offerings are the most important part. Now our F&B revenues are probably 3 times the room revenue, or 3.5 times the room revenue. And that was the second focus, because prior to me coming on board, we were very focused inwards on the hotel guests. But obviously, with this beautiful hotel, with a location on the river, right next door to Taoding, a huge focus can also go on the local market. And now we see many people coming to do their events, coming for private dinners, just coming to enjoy a sunset cocktail or a drink, just from the surrounding neighbourhoods. Events was then our second or third focus, because I mean there are lots of beautiful venues in the centre of District 1. But people have been doing that forever, right? It's
a lot of like hotel conference rooms.
Correct.
It's not really like outdoor spaces
right.
or scenic spaces.
And most of them are indoors. Most of them don't have beautiful views. A lot of them don't even have windows. So here we are. We have a beautiful hotel in District 2 with beautiful views from every room, natural light for the event spaces. So it was an obvious focus to start looking at events to try to get some of the people, some of the larger companies.
And it sounds like even after tourism and business travel picks up again, this will remain a fixture of the business, whereas maybe before it wasn't really thought of that way. It sounds like
exactly.
That's
so
exciting.
In the past, the focus was mainly on rooms, international business, having a high average rate and trying to make money on the back of that. But now we're definitely looking more outwards. We're looking outwards at the local community. We're looking outwards at the companies in District 1 that want to have great meetings and events. We're looking at MICE business, coming and taking a group of 10 or 15 of your colleagues to Mia for a night. And be in one of the conference rooms up on the 9th floor, and do a strategy session. Okay. You might like to come.
Yeah, we did one recently at the Hotels des Arts, which is our neighbor here at Suntec Tower.
Which is a beautiful hotel as well.
Yeah, it was really that urban kind of feel and right in the middle of the city. Obviously easy for us to get to, but it gets me thinking like maybe we can spend a night there even.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, when you do just leave a little bit. You just get a little bit further away.
Sure.
Suddenly you escape from all of the day-to-day things. So you can focus more on the ideas that you want to strategize on. So
that's great. And well, tell us more about the property itself too. So views, great. F&B offerings, awesome. How many rooms is the property?
It's a very small hotel. It's only 52 rooms.
52
rooms. So we can definitely say we're very lucky. We probably have one of the highest occupancies in the city. The reason we have the highest occupancy is not
Staycations
because
on weekends.
well, not only that, because we have a smaller amount of rooms.
Oh, that too.
So when we have 250 rooms, it's a lot harder to get 60% occupancy.
What do you tell the hoteliers? I mean, not you specifically. What are you thinking as a hotelier yourself? You've managed hotels with hundreds of rooms. I mean, especially those not only luxury but mid-market ones. There's a few that are opening in the next year, or at least maybe they've delayed indefinitely. They're opening hundreds of rooms.
Sure.
How do you balance that?
I mean, I think the first thought needs to be from the owner side, the hotel owner side, is cash flow. Do they have the cash flow?
Right.
Because if you open inside Ho Chi Minh City and you have 200 rooms or 300 rooms, when you open, you need to be aware that it's going to be very difficult to break even. I mean, it's already hard to break even when you open a hotel, but with no international business, it's difficult. But if I did have the cash flow, I would most certainly open. And the reason is that, look, although we don't know when this will end, I mean, we can certainly see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. It usually takes 12 months to 18 months for a hotel to break even. So
on a monthly basis,
generally, just because of the overheads and picking up business and so on. So I would say if you have the cash flow, go ahead and open and get your staff well trained and get your processes going and get your concepts perfect, because having a great concept and a great team is paramount to success. But do it in a way that is smart, as in don't hire 10 people in your accounting team when you're going to be buying a tenth of the thing which you normally would. Do what you can do to break even, or maybe open in stages. Open your restaurants first. You know, if you think that you can open a restaurant and attract a lot of local business and domestic business from around your area, maybe open the restaurant, or maybe open the restaurant in 2 floors. You know, but certainly think of how you can open. But
that's a good comment. I've seen, especially in Asia, like for me to say like, oh, let's go get a drink at the Park Hyatt. I wouldn't say that's the thing to do. Not used to, but now it is, because a lot of these hotels have had to adapt and make themselves centers for the community, not just for the business travelers that stay there and so forth. So it's really great to see that Mia Saigon has been able to adapt very quickly, leverage its strengths, and obviously you coming in just the last few months have been able to kind of oversee that shift. Do you foresee any challenges for Mia Saigon? I mean, it sounds pretty rosy at the moment, but what are some things that you're hoping to fix over the coming months?
Yeah, I mean, I make it sound very rosy, and we're in a fairly good. I think we're in a fairly good position in comparison to maybe some of our sister properties in the centre of the city. And like I said, some of the reasons are that we have a very small room count. You know, and we do have this beautiful view, and we're very good for staycation business, but it's still tough. The toughest part is the waves in business. So a month ago we were all in slowdown mode because there was another wave of COVID that hit Vietnam, and business started to drop again, and now suddenly a month later. Business has now really started to pick up again, but we don't have any staff. So now we're scrambling to find team members. So I mean, it could be a worse situation. I mean, I guess it's good to have business and not have enough team members. But there's always challenges.
And going about that challenge, like you talk about having to focus on the F&B and whatnot. What local marketing tactics have you guys used?
Right now, like we said, we're really focusing on the local market. What we find has always been the most effective for that is Facebook and social media marketing by far in Vietnam. So we've really started to increase targeted social media marketing. Ads, boosted ads on Facebook, boosted ads on Instagram. But also making sure that we're very generous to KOLs, key opinion leaders. You know, our rooms are not full. if a celebrity comes and they want to and they want to come and stay at Mia, why not let them? I mean, the room costs us almost nothing.
It was a fixed cost. It's just
it's
sitting there.
It's a fixed cost. It's just sitting there. And in this time, any sort of free media you can get, which doesn't cost you, is great. So we've just been very generous with people from the media, very generous with celebrities. I'm very generous with anybody that can come and enjoy Mia and then spread the good word. Because I mean, the name Mia wasn't even so well heard of 6 months ago.
Yeah, it really wasn't. I think a lot of competition in the market, obviously, but you guys have emerged really leveraging what you've been able to do and adapt quickly. So. And
one of those keys was generosity.
And that gets me thinking too, like a lot of the bookings that you're getting, since you're really focused on Vietnam at the moment, are they mostly through social media? Are like people inquiring direct to the Facebook page? Are they emailing you? Are they calling you? Like where are those bookings coming from now?
We have quite a lot of inquiries that come through social media. Our team is pretty busy until late in the night. That's the problem with social media. You can never turn it off.
Anytime they're going to be calling you. Yeah,
that's right. But we've also noticed that our direct bookings have increased in percentage. So one of the habits and I've been in Vietnam for 12 years, sometimes consider myself partly Vietnamese as well. When one of the habits here is really to book direct, pick up the phone and call, or book via social media, not always online. And so we've seen a big increase.
It's a big behavior thing. A lot of people from outside will use OTAs, will use travel agents, but here, I guess research and like asking questions directly is kind of the way to do it.
And then asking for the best deal.
Yeah, asking for the best deal.
Yeah, you can't ask for the best deal on a website, right?
Yeah.
So there's that intrinsic nature here to always want to finally say, can you give me a better deal, or can you give me something special?
Okay.
And again, in Mia, we're trying to be flexible. If it's a small thing, why not make somebody happy?
I think after this podcast, I think people will be hitting you
guys up.
Yes, I
should be careful, right?
Anyone will be a KOL.
Yeah.
So how do you guys judge what a key opinion leader is? Because a key opinion leader, it could be a family, an individual, a couple, it could be a company, it could be a brand. Like, what is that definition for you guys?
I mean, I think all of those people that you said are definitely key opinion leaders. I think the most important thing is which one is suitable for your brand, right?
Yeah.
And for Mia, we're definitely looking for people that can add something to Mia's brand image.
And what is Mia's brand image, more importantly? Yeah.
Really what Mia is it's a hotel resort sanctuary here in Ho Chi Minh City, where people can come and enjoy not only the rooms, but also great food and beverage. It's like a riverside resort and restaurant, right in the centre of Ho Chi Minh City. And it's a boutique product. It is elegant, it's luxurious, but without being pretentious. It's like a beautiful lady who's elegant, but she's not too
flamboyant
or over herself as well.
Gotcha.
She's down to earth.
Okay.
And that's very much Mia, with this kind of French Indochine, Vietnamese flair. And so what we've found is that we've tied ourselves up with a lot of celebrities, some people that have been there recently, Ho Ma Pa. We've had quite a few photo shoots as well with some of the younger and more hot celebrities such as Ngọc Trinh, and even younger again, Win An Shin. So we like to have a range of different KOLs, business people as well. So I think it's important to have a range of KOLs that suit your kind of brand image.
Has it led to a direct business increase for you guys? How do you measure the effectiveness of those tactics?
Well, it's hard to see a direct correlation.
Sometimes it's not immediate, but sometimes it's
correct.
A month from now, a couple weeks, or.
But we've seen the hotel revenues increase. Yes, I mean a huge amount in the past 3 or 4 months. And I'm sure a lot of that is to do with the awareness that we get from key opinion leaders.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I said, the Mia name wasn't so familiar to people 6 months ago, but because of all the awareness that's come through social media marketing and also through our KOLs and partners, it's certainly helped to get the Mia name out there a little bit more.
Excellent.
And that certainly helps, and it can never hurt.
You know, we talked about, so to recap today's conversation, so we talked about how Mia is adapting to the situation at the moment. You guys are leveraging a lot of local marketing tactics that potentially the management never even thought of 6 months ago. And we talked about delaying openings and how these new hotels are adapting this day and age. Enough about hotels for today. It's great to hear that you guys are doing well, and the broader market's adapting fairly well to the given the circumstances. Let's talk about Vintage Emporium. So take off the hotelier hat, put on the F&B manager hat. What is Vintage Emporium? What is the concept, and how long have you been doing it for?
Okay. Do I get a moment to take off the hat?
Yeah, please.
It's really hard.
Go ahead. I know it's shifting.
It's hard to change.
It's not immediate. Yeah.
Vintage Emporium's, it started as a very simple concept. We opened the first cafe, I think it was 6 years ago, 6.5 years ago, in a small street called Nguyen Vang Tu Street, not too far from here actually.
Yeah.
Both myself and my wife have always had a passion for food and beverage, but also always had very much a passion for breakfast and lunch. And although in Saigon there's always been many places to go have a great dinner, for many years there was no places that were focusing on where you could go have a great breakfast and lunch.
Yeah, there's a lot of coffee places, but those even were a little bit too grab and go, or just kind of not your like sit down and relax and kind of vibe. And yeah, I think you guys were the pioneers in that.
Well, one of them. I mean, there was always Park. So Park was one of the other places.
You can't discount them. They've been 15 years.
They've been here forever.
Yeah.
But apart from Park, we would really scratch our heads and say, where would we go for breakfast, or where would we go for lunch? So we thought, okay, we'll put a stop to this. A bit like you, Hal. I hear that you're possibly opening a coffee shop. To get your daily fix of caffeine in the morning.
Sure. Yeah, more on that later.
Here we opened this restaurant and lunch place so that we go and enjoy breakfast in the morning. Unfortunately, it wasn't as enjoyable as we thought. It was a lot more hard work, and we didn't end up eating many breakfasts. We ended up serving more. But no, it seems like the concept wasn't only popular with foreigners, but also very popular for Vietnamese, because the concept has always been something that's not only focused on offering a good breakfast that tastes great, but always been very healthy, nutritious, and having foods which are good for you.
Well, it definitely seems to have been well received, because you guys opened a second one. It took a few years, but you opened the second one, much larger scale as well, in District 2. Tell us about that decision. You started off in your fairly boutique, pretty small place in District 1, and it was well loved, but it wasn't like 100 people every day, like at the same time kind of place. But now District 2, you guys have hundreds of, I don't know, maybe not hundreds, but at least 100 seats. You have an outdoor pool, you have a lot of stuff. Like, what was that decision making for you to go expand? There's
really two things. I mean, I guess it's human nature to always want to do something bigger and better.
True.
So we certainly set out to do that in Tao Dinh. The second thing was to really do the same thing in Tao Dinh that we did in District 1. In District 1, we wanted to open a place for breakfast and lunch, something that people didn't have, and we wanted to do the same in Tao Dinh. But we thought in Tao Dinh there's lots of beautiful places already. So what we wanted to do was open something that was beautiful as well. So a place that had great food, healthy food, nutritious, but somebody could sit in a beautiful atmosphere, but still not pay too much. Because how much do you want to pay for your breakfast?
Exactly.
You don't want to pay $30 for bacon and eggs,
Way
right?
Too much.
No. So that was the concept. But the other part was to really build a flagship for Vintage Emporium, for the brand, to build something that we could be even more proud of.
An institution, and something that could last.
Exactly, that could last. And also be a cornerstone for any future businesses and vintage emporiums,
right?
Because it's a great concept, you know, and it's a fun brand. Yeah.
Well, excellent. So 6 years forward, you know, fast forward from when you started, you've got 2 locations. You're opening a third one, I hear, in City Garden, which is a captive audience. You know, very different audiences. You got your District 1 crowd, you got your District 2 crowd, and Bintan City Garden, very captive. Tell us about that new project as well.
Well, you know, this project in City Garden is really exciting. You know, City Garden is such a great complex. There are so many people that.
How many people live in?
There are almost 1,000 apartments.
1,000 apartments.
Yeah,
okay.
and if one makes an assumption that there's 2 to 2.5 people for each apartment, and maybe it's at 70% occupancy, we're probably looking at a couple of thousand.
Yeah.
And I mean, that makes it a very interesting prospect for somebody in food and beverage.
Yeah.
If you think in hotels, sorry to, I guess I'm putting my other hat back on just temporarily.
Please, yeah.
In hotels, we have 250 rooms or 300 rooms sometimes,
right.
and we have 2 restaurants. In City Garden, there's
no restaurant.
No, at the moment, no restaurant,
Yeah.
and 1,000 apartments.
Yeah.
So I mean, if one looks at it. Just from afar, I mean, one can straight away see that there's opportunity there.
I like the strategy and thinking there, because a lot of people are really obsessed with, you know, going into these shop houses or finding this, like, you know, villa somewhere, and it works. But also, you know, people aren't thinking about the potential opportunities had with these captive audiences and these new developments of office towers and apartment buildings, and there's so many of them coming up in Saigon. So. Well, what is that part of the thinking there?
I'll tell you one thing that's especially attractive now. It's very COVID-proof. It's very COVID-proof. I mean, it's not 100%.
When you mean coffee-proof, what does that mean?
COVID-19.
COVID. Oh, sorry. I was like coffee.
That's my Australian accent.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No worries.
It's very COVID-proof.
Sure. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Because people will always be living in City Garden. And although it's a captive audience, you have less ups and downs in business. So in a time when there's a lot of ups and downs in business and seasonality, I think it's a solid bet to do something like that.
And are you guys optimized for delivery at all, or are you really focused on the dine-in crowd?
Absolutely. So we will have not only the cafe as a cafe and restaurant. We're building a small bar inside there as well.
Good.
So people can enjoy a drink in the evenings or after work. We'll have a small pool bar so we can service the pool, and then we'll run room service as well, that we can run up to all of the apartments.
Excellent. Okay.
So it's almost like running a restaurant in a hotel.
No, very good.
But it's going to be a beautiful place. The idea as well is a lot of the time inside these apartment blocks, the owners of the restaurants don't spend a lot of money to make it look nice. Right. It's
almost like you're always going to get business and you don't really care. But
I think that's a terrible way to think.
Of course. Yeah.
I think that we should treat it just like a restaurant outside. Build a beautiful concept. Build a place where people want to spend every day, you know, they want to come to every
coffee,
day.
Their lunch, their after work.
Make it a place where somebody could even take 2 or 3 meals a day, and maybe they can sit from the morning to the night.
Yeah.
So we're going to make it a really beautiful space.
Excellent.
And then let's see what the future holds.
Yeah. Well, I think that definitely represents not only this feature space, but the spaces you've done before and the spaces you manage currently with the hotels. So. Linton, you know, it's a great pleasure to have you on the show today, the Alive and Kicking show. It's our series leading up to our food and beverage program for Vietnam. It's both conference and Banh Mi Awards on November 5th. Be on the lookout for that. I'm sure Linton, you'll spot him in the crowd too if you're there.
Hope everyone can see my face.
Yes. Yeah. Well, now they'll recognize your face for sure. Well, big thanks again, Linton, for coming to our studios today. For our listeners out there, please look out for the next series. They're coming out soon as well. Visit Mia Saigon, visit Vintage Emporium. There's 2, now 3 locations on the way. And that's it for us.
Great, Al. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Appreciate the time.
Until next time. Yeah.
Great.